Hello, this is Leslie, and this is Leslie's Opinion. I'm going to be talking mostly about myself. And yeah, I'm eating sumi. Um, First off, I did one of these about a month ago, but it was like 58 minutes long, and I was mostly quiet during the beginning of it. So just to recap, my name is Leslie Schott Jr. I'm 46. I have 3 daughters. The youngest one is 21, I mean. I'm single and I live on my own. I was born, raised, and still live here in Wichita, Kansas. I'm not that loud, so. I have visited other states. I've gone to college for fashion merchandising and designing, interior decorating and designing, automotive service technology, with summer school program in engines and transmissions. I have an ex-husband that was going to school for nursing and used my name. So when that debt gets paid off, I have a nursing degree. And I am currently going to school for filmmaking at WSU. I have edited podcasts in the past, and I have made music with one app and edited under another app. I make music or different sounds and put them together with one app, and then when I publish it on the channel that platform goes through, I also send it to myself on my Google Drive, and then I go to the other app that's connected to my Google Drive, and I put it on my storyboard, and I'll play with it. Sometimes I'll mix it with other stuff that I've made, and I'll put like videos with it or whatever. It's just whatever. And then after I get through making what I think sounds good, I'll produce it, and then I'll put it online. I'll put it online to like YouTube and all the rest of that. I'm self-taught in sewing, knitting, crocheting, typing, drawing, putting puzzles together, which that's a given, that's a hobby. I'm a pretty good sized Star Wars fan and Star Trek fan. Now, with me, as in Star Wars, I mean mainly the movies. Episodes 1 through 9, and then Rogue One, Solo the side story, Obi-Wan Kenobi or the Kenobi side story, the Book of Boba Fett, and the Mandalorian. And I do not have the Mandalorian Okay. Anyway, I own 1 through 9 and Rogue One and Solo Side Story. I don't own the Book of Boba Fett or Mandalorian. I am a Christian. I'm not one of those hellfire breathing damnation type Christians, but I am still a Christian. I'm also an independent on the political side. What I mean by independent is that I can agree with both Republican side and Democrat side. The only thing I don't agree with is anything that Trump is doing. But I've never liked Trump. In case y'all haven't noticed from my previous podcast, I haven't liked Trump since before he became a politician, so might as well hang that one up. Doesn't matter what argument you post about that man, I don't care. I don't like him. I never have. Anyway, I work at Amazon. I also do Uber and DoorDash. I own a couple of businesses, and I co-own at least one. And if you want to know what that is, I'll let you know later. It's a private group chat or it's a private group on Facebook. But in case any of y'all are wondering, yeah, I'm the oldest of 4 kids. 2 boys and 2 girls. And we all have the same mom and the same dad. And I do believe most of us have lived here most of our lives. My sister lives in another city here in Kansas. And I think my older brother lived in a couple other states. I'm not sure, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, I'm not giving up names because it's nobody else's business really. But yeah. If Trump loves me, he wouldn't be breathing oxygen. In order for that man to show that he loves me, he's got to stop breathing. No longer existing on the planet. But I've gotten into a few conversations with people about the government shutdown and about the food assistance program. And I do get disability for mild retardation. And yeah, I do get food stamps. But as far as the necessity goes, I'm probably one of the ones that need food stamps the least because I can go out and earn $20 to $40 to go buy a few days worth of food within a matter of hours. So it's not an exact necessity that I absolutely have to have food stamps, but there are people out there that do need it, especially kids. kids, elderly, and those people who are actually handicapped that are not capable of getting out of their home without help, that can't do a whole lot of anything without actual help. So, yeah, those people actually need it. And like I had said in a comment in a post on Facebook, some households, whether they're one or two parents, what could be more funnier than you looking funny? But yeah, go ahead. But I forgot where I was. But anyway. Oh yeah. With the government being shut down and food stamps about to not be around anymore for at least a little while, whether you're living in a single parent household or a two-parent household, if you guys are both able to get out and do some type of employment, most of your delivery places, Uber, DoorDash, so on and so forth, they do have bike delivery services. So you're able to get a hold of a bike and use that to get you some income. It may take longer, and it might be cold as hell outside, but if you're that worried about feeding your kids and you're one of the ones that are going to be getting cut off food stamps, then you might want to make that consideration, because if your kids are that important for you to feed, then just because you hear the fact that the food assistance program is going to get shut down does not mean you just throw in your hands and ask how in the hell shit's going to work. Because honestly, when these social media platforms were just coming out and they were posting up old videos from like back in the 80s and stuff and the 70s, I don't remember who it was, but there was a president or a spokesperson that came on TV and said publicly that the food assistance program was not designed to stay around for this long or to be helping out this many people. The food assistance program was specifically designed to help people in crisis, in time of need. If you've been on the food assistance program longer than 6 months to a year at any given one point in time, then you're not using it for what it's supposed to be used for. You're abusing it, because everybody falls on hard time. But it's the difference between falling on hard time and using that if you absolutely have to, you don't have any other resources, and staying on it because it just happens to fit the fact that you just don't want to get up and do shit. And unfortunately, we do have quite a few people that use the system for just that. And I do believe the person that I remember talking about it back in that day was actually a Republican. And when I listened to the speech, um, I had to agree. Because back when the food assistance program first started, I think it was either shortly before or shortly after the Great Depression. And they had specifically said that because there were so many families in need of assistance because of the government being shut down for so long, that they decided to have this program to help out those families in need. Fast forward to today, and it has gone from a need to people saying it's a necessity. I mean, it's not, it's a want, it's not a need. And a food assistance program should not be a want, should not be a desire. Especially if you're a parent and the only thing you're able to do is tell your kid, instead of aiming for college and a better life, they should just get used to being in the system. You failed as a parent. I'm just going to say it. Because I have known people that are poor, beyond broke. They barely have enough money to keep rent and food on the table, and some of them don't even have that. Some of them actually, I have known a couple people that I actually went to school with that have chosen to live homeless. But then they want to cry about everything. You can't have it both ways. And it's kind of the same thing with the with the food assistance program. You can't, if you're a person that, there's too many examples that came into my head just a second ago. With the food assistance program, if you are a parent that is receiving food assistance, if you have been receiving it for years, then you're doing something wrong. Because it wasn't intended for you to receive it for years. Unless you happen to be disabled or something like that, or elderly, in which case, there's not that many damn disabled people. Come on. I have actually seen videos of both men and women talking about how it's not fair because their stuff is about to get cut because the government found out that they had a house and they had a car and they were going to get their nails and hair and stuff like that done on almost a weekly or monthly basis using this stuff to do more than just get by. If you're using this stuff for emergency purposes, once you get to a part where you can afford, you got yourself into an apartment and you got everything that you need, and you can start, if you go into a store and you can start snatching something off of a shelf and using a paycheck, part of your paycheck to get it, then maybe you don't need to be on the food assistance program no more. That is for people that don't have enough money to stretch out to the end of the month. If you have a job or you have a car or a bike as a means of transportation, then you have the means to go get employment. Hell, if you do end up getting a job, hell, you have your feet. If you actually get an hourly job, you can walk. Once you get your first paycheck, you can get bus tickets and start working your way up the ladder to a bike, a car, whatever. the system, if you don't want to climb, or if you don't want to put in the work, then yeah, you will be lazy most of your life. And if you have any kids, you'll teach them to do the exact same thing. But if you're not the one that is trying to or wants to be in poverty, then you're going to climb out of that hole that you're in. Right? If your arms and legs work, then go get a damn job. It's that simple. It really is. But I've only had, change the subject, out of that No Kings protest, I've only had one person that did not understand what the No Kings protest was about. From the Republican or Democrat side, they didn't understand. They decided to make the dumb idiot. To me, it was more idiotic than anything. They decided to make the idiotic statement that if they were going to do a No Kings protest, then they should have included things like mayors and all the rest of that. And when they were saying that, the only thing I could think of was mayors and governors and things are not trying to be a king. They're not trying to stay in office. They're just going for a re-election. If they happen to get reelected, then cool. Trump is the only one trying to stay in office. And he has said himself a few times that if he had the ability to, he would make it to where he would be able to stay in power. And that's exactly what he's trying to do. I mean, this last week, after the No Kings protest, which, by the way, for some odd reason, doing that No Kings protest, Trump thought that we were doing the No Kings protest. He thought it was for him in a positive way. But from what I have been watching the news about, his priority is not the U.S. It should be because he is the president, but the U.S. is not his priority. Everything he's been doing has been everything that involves overseas. His press secretary, that little girl, Caroline whatever, she even said it. Whether she knew what the hell she was talking about or not, she said it. But then again, a few of us knew that because of the way he's been acting. His approval rating has been dropping, especially this week. Kansas has been in the news because Kansas beef farmers and other beef farmers in the U.S. have gotten their contracts taken away from them. Their federal contracts. So their contracts got taken away from them. Trump has been making deals with Argentina, which from what I have done research on and read in the news about, Argentina has And if you're from Argentina, I only know this because of whatever's been going on in the news and what I read online. Argentinian beef has hoof and mouth disease. I think that's what it's called. Yes, I have done research, but I still have a problem with the headline, so sue me. Instead of putting that money towards helping our farmers do the jobs that they were doing beforehand, which was producing beef and grain and rice and all the rest of that shit, he's deciding to outsource it. But yet he's the one that said, put America first. How are you putting America first and you're outsourcing all of our local farmers' work? And then there was a few farmers that came online or did videos on YouTube, and they said that they had voted for Trump all 3 times because they believed that Trump would do what he said and put farmers first. Well, most of your farmers are now regretting their vote for Trump because of what he's doing, outsourcing everything that they, 3rd and 4th and 5th generation of farmers losing their stuff because of the idiocy of one president. So that's kind of where that is. But oh yeah, switching the subject again. However many of you is going to end up watching this, I don't know, but if any of y'all happen to be fans of Back to the Future, they are actually holding, I think he said their 30 or 40-year anniversary this month in October. And I plan on going to see it, but yeah, I wasn't trying to get off on that too much because every time you turn around, it seems like that man's name is in everybody's mouth. But then again, that's the way he prefers it. So, and at the beginning of this, when I said that I have an ex-husband that was going to school for nursing, and he used my name. I was trying to get him to be serious about wanting to do something with his future. And so I asked him, I said, he was working at Coleman, but he was working through a temporary agency. And he had the year or two that we were actually together, he had actually been talking about either wanting to do nursing or wanting to go trucking, and he said that he was serious about it. So since I got my foot in the door going to school for automotive, I asked him, I said, so if somebody were to help you out, which one would you want to actually work on trying to get? Trucking or nursing? And after a few days, he came back and he said that he wouldn't mind going to do the nursing one. I'm like, okay. So there was something keeping him from being able to use his name to get a loan, a FOSFA loan. So I used mine under the verbal agreement that whether if he did not pass or he did not graduate, he would owe me the money. And if he did graduate, he wouldn't owe me the money, no problem. Well, he didn't graduate. He didn't even make it through the first semester. And it's not for the fact that he didn't have the time. Because when he got accepted, we told his mom, we told my mom. Well, his mom watched our daughter during the day, and when I got out of school, she would bring her to the house. My mom would show up and do some of the housework while I did his homework while he was at school. And from what he told me the first night he came back from the school, was that the only thing he had to do was stay awake and highlight what the teacher was talking about in the book. And once he got home, if he had everything highlighted, he could answer all the questions. Well, he didn't stay awake during class. And I was trying to help him get his homework done. He hadn't said anything to me for about a week or two. He kept telling me that he was up to date. So I was like, okay, cool. And 3 weeks into it, come to find out that they were going through like 1, maybe 2 chapters a day, if not more. I come to find out that because it was a summer school course, by the time he told me that he was behind, he was close to 10 chapters behind. And just as I had started trying to help him get his homework done so he could hand it in, at least hand it in, even if he didn't get any credit for it, I was doing summer school automotive. I was doing engines and transmissions. And I think we were in the middle of learning about transaxles when he came up to me all upset and told with some papers in his hand telling me that the school released him. And after reading and letting everything absorb in and finding out later on, a few days later, that he had more than a dozen pink slips written up about him because they kept going out to different nursing homes. The only thing he was supposed to do was check their blood pressure and their heartbeat. Instead of doing that, he decides he's going to talk with them. I asked him, I said, so what? You're going to school for this. You're using my name. And instead of doing what you needed to do to pass it to where you can get a degree, because if he would have passed, then when it came to the graduation part, instead of putting my name on the degree or the diploma or whatever, when they would have asked what name needs to go on there, I'd have told them to put his name on there. I'd have been like, well, you have to fill out a piece of paper to say whose name to put on the degree. I'd have put his name, and that'd have been the end of it. But he didn't. And so now, when I go to pay it off, when it finally gets paid off, eventually, I'll have a degree in nursing, but I probably won't use it because I don't know shit about nursing, and I'm not trying to kill nobody. But and as far as podcast goes, like I said earlier about the music that I make with the podcasts that I've done or edited, I have a Google thing, and the lady that had me editing her podcast, and I say had not because she changed who she was using. I say had because she comes up with ideas left and right every single day, and it's kind of hard to keep up. So instead of keeping up, she just records everything, and then eventually she get around to sharing them on our Google shared space, and then I edit them and stuff. I take out ums and whats and any dead air space and anything that she says that repeats it. Like if she says, I have to go to the kitchen real quick, and she repeats it, she's like, I have to go to the kitchen real quick. My job is to take out one of those I have to's and use the other one in its place, and then just keep going without making it look like it was edited. And then because most of the rooms that she uses has an echo in the background, coming up with music that drowns out the background without drowning out what she's saying or the person she's talking to is saying. And then putting my name at the end of it as the person that edited it and stuff like that. I'll probably put the I'll probably copy and paste the page in the end of this podcast when I'm done. But yeah, if you actually go to that page, and with the exception of the very last one, I have edited all the videos that are on this woman's YouTube page. And I still have a whole lot more to do, but I have been getting swamped with things to do because I keep wanting to do other stuff. So, But yeah, I think that's about all. For those of you that I said I'd be doing podcasts on Fridays and Saturdays, I have been trying my damnedest to do them on Fridays and Saturdays, but across between working at Amazon and then going to school, I sleep most of the day. If I don't have other stuff to do, I sleep. And then I have schoolwork to do at home or homework. And then if you noticed, every once in a while I was touching my phone. In order to pick up shifts at Amazon, you have to be able to refresh and then catch shifts. So that's what I've been doing. There are some shifts I won't work, but yeah. But yeah, I try to keep up with what's going on during the week. This week I tried, but like I said, across between work, school, and sleep, yeah, that's a no. And yes, if I look tired, it's because I really am. I mean, I was supposed to go to class this morning, but I ended up missing it because I slept in. Because last night when I went to bed, I only got like 3.5 hours of sleep. So, and I had We don't normally do an online class in the class I had to go to tonight, but we ended up having a Zoom meeting for my class. So, but anyway, as far as the No Kings protest, if you are not into politics and you can't figure out what the No Kings protest is about, or if you can't figure out what the No Kings protest is about, period, whether you're Republican or Democrat, then don't worry about it. It's obviously not that big of a deal for you. And if you have been keeping track and you still don't know what the heck the protest is about, then you can be book smart all you want to, but you're not really all that street smart. Because like I said, I've only had one person ask me what that is. Everybody else I've talked to knows exactly what it is. If they're Democrat or independent, it's a No Kings protest against Donald Trump because he's trying to become king. And if you're Republican or certain independents, then it's a hate America protest because they think that just because we don't want to go along with whatever Trump is talking about, we hate America. But like I said, out of all the people I've talked to, and that's quite a few online and everywhere else, there's only one person that doesn't see the logic or common sense in the No Kings protest. That's not anybody else's fault but their own. Because if they're asking for it, then they haven't done enough research to figure out what it's about. And if they have to include mayors and stuff, then they completely missed the mark, like over the head. Never to be found out. So if you don't know it, then you don't know it. Nobody can explain it to you. It's just the way it is. I would say other stuff, but I won't. Anyway, I'm going to jump off here. I did my thing. I think I did one or two short videos this week, but I'm not sure. I'm trying to get better at doing all this stuff. And I've noticed that my subscription base, my fan base has been getting bigger. At first, I started at I think under 10. I can safely say that. And last time I looked, which was tonight before I came on air, I now have 47. So for those of you that have subscribed, thank you very much. And I hope that you keep tuning in occasionally. I'd love to have a chat with all of you one of these days when I actually come on line. As far as when I have a podcast, I'd like to keep saying that I was going to have it on Friday or Saturday, but sometimes I'm a little bit too busy on either one of those days, so I will try to announce at least an hour before I have the podcast in all the places that I am on social media. Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, I think I have a few more in there, but right now I can't remember. But those are the basic ones that I do use. So I will attempt to try harder to make it to where I announce that I'm going to go on air before I do. I'm not going to say any specific days or times I'm going to go on anymore, because if I say Friday or Saturday and I don't get on Friday or Saturday, I could have somebody that ends up getting upset. So right now, I'm just going to wing it and say whenever I have the time, I'll try to give at least an hour notice before I actually get online. But and I might try to do them sooner. I might try. I don't know. I can't actually put a time or a date on it. So, but I will try to announce that I'll be doing a live one before I actually go live. So, anyway, peace. Talk to y'all later.